Heartwarming encounter, hospital's hidden angel transformed on patient's father's incredible fight. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, illuminating the stark white walls of the hospital corridor as Jake clutched Lily's tiny hand. At only 6, his daughter lay pale against the crisp linens, fighting an unseen enemy ravaging her body. Fear gripped him, heart hammering in his chest. The sterile smell of antiseptic stung his nose, triggering his stomach to tighten with anxiety. He remembered the days spent fixing engines in his auto shop, satisfying and fulfilling work, but today, nothing made sense. The paperwork, the appointments, it felt like an overwhelming maze of despair. Amid a whirlwind of medical jargon, Jake's thoughts spiraled. Despite his dedication and labor as a mechanic, the weight of hospital bills pressed heavily on his shoulders. Each bill felt like shackles, pulling him down into uncertainty. The American dream, once a glimmering beacon, seemed lost in a fog of despair. He fought against the complex healthcare system, constantly navigating insurance claims and diagnostic tests that passed over him like a roaring freight train. And every moment away from Lily felt like a crime. As he paced the waiting room, the sterile light glinting off the linoleum floor, he met Nurse Emily. She stood nearby, her gentle demeanor cutting through the chaos. Known for her kind heart, Emily had a way of calming frantic parents with a soft smile or understanding nod. She was the hidden angel of the hospital, a rare blend of empathy lost in an endless sea of administration. Their eyes met, and he could see the weariness etched on her face, a shared struggle flickering between them. "Is she going to be okay?" Jake asked, his voice cracking, a lump forming in his throat. Emily knelt down beside him, her voice steady and comforting. "We're doing everything we can," she assured him. She's a fighter, just like her dad. In that moment, they both felt the delicate fibers of hope weaving between them, stitching together the fabric of their worlds. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Days turned into a blur of consultations and tests. Each time the phone rang, Jake's heart raced. But through it all, he found solace in talking to Emily, sharing stories about their families, their dreams tangled in the constraints of this bleak reality. Love and duty collided in his heart, making his choices heavier than lead. But just as Jake believed he might find a way to break free from the looming financial abyss, a shattering truth unfolded. It was a revelation that could send them both spiraling into deeper chaos, a choice he never wanted to confront, to save his daughter at the cost of his very livelihood. As the walls of uncertainty closed in around him, Jake stood at the edge of his world, teetering precariously. The weight of his decision pressed into his soul, and hope fought a desperate battle against despair. With every heartbeat, the community's rhythm echoed in his chest. Could he find a way to rally them together, to invoke the spirit of resilience that once defined their lives? As whispers began to swirl within the hospital, Jake's voice would rise above, igniting a spark of change. Would he take that leap, or would he buckle under pressure, losing everything for the love of his daughter? The grim urgency of reality loomed, unyielding in its grip. The sun broke through the dark clouds hanging over the hospital, casting a warm glow in the waiting room. Yet, for Jake, every ray felt like a reminder of the storm brewing inside him. He leaned back against the cold plastic chair, exhausted. The phone in his pocket buzzed, and he pulled it out, half-heartedly hoping for good news. Instead, another bill stared back at him. How is this even possible? He muttered under his breath, heart sinking deeper. Suddenly, the sterile air shifted as Emily approached with a clipboard. Her soft smile was like a breath of fresh air, but Jake could see worry hiding behind her eyes. "Hey, Jake. I just wanted to check in on you and Lily," she said gently, taking a seat beside him. "I know things seem tough right now. I don't know how much longer I can keep this up," he admitted, swallowing the lump in his throat. I just want her to be okay, but these bills. They're relentless. The wave of frustration rolled through him. He ran a hand over his tired face, feeling every line of worry etched deeper. Emily paused, her expression shifting from concern to resolve. You know, sometimes it feels like we're just drowning in it all. But remember, you're not alone. There are people who care. Her eyes sparkled with a fierce determination. You could organize something, a fundraiser, maybe. Rally the community. They do want to help you. Jake blinked, taken aback. But what if no one shows up? The thought of facing rejection made his stomach twist. Then at least you tried, she replied, her voice soothing. But I think you'd be surprised. People want to help each other. It's what we do. As doubts chased through his mind, an image of Lily popped up, her bright laughter, her little hands holding onto his while he worked on cars, her infectious spirit. She deserves to have a shot at life, he breathed, the determination building like a firewall against his fear. Let us do it then, he finally said, feeling a spark ignite within him. I'll organize a fundraiser. Emily smiled widely, her warmth wrapping around him like a cozy blanket. That's the spirit. We'll make it happen. You'll see. Plans rushed into motion as they began brainstorming. They decided on a car wash, bringing Jake's mechanical skills to the forefront. He could pull in the community with promises of freshly cleaned vehicles and smiles, all while sharing Lily's story. He imagined the laughter of friends, neighbors, people who might just step forward to lend a helping hand. Despite the excitement, dark clouds still loomed on the horizon. What if it wasn't enough? What if they couldn't reach their goal? Those thoughts chased him, but as Jake watched Emily float between the rooms, comforting families with her soft voice and warm presence, hope flared within him like a beacon. Days passed, and they spread the word. Soon, flyers adorned the local coffee shops, and social media buzzed with messages of support. Yet, the heartache of Lily's condition gnawed at him at night, whispering doubts into his ear. The day of the fundraiser dawned bright and clear, and the sun seemed to shine directly upon Jake's shoulders. But as people gathered, his heart raced, feeling both exhilarated and terrified. The weight of the moment pressed down hard. Would this effort be enough to turn the tide for Lily? True to Emily's belief, friends showed up in droves, ready to scrub and shine vehicles with enthusiasm. As laughter and chatter filled the air, a small voice broke through the noise. Daddy! Jake glanced over, disbelief washing over him as he spotted Lily, wide-eyed and wobbly, with her mother beside her. She had come home from the hospital for the day. Relief flooded through him, but would his efforts be enough? Would the tide of support swell to meet their needs? As Lily's face lit up in a joyful smile, Jake realized that the battle was far from over. It was just beginning. As he filled a bucket with sudsy water, determination surged within him. He had fought for his daughter, but now, he was willing to fight for more than just her health. He was fighting for hope. With the sound of laughter echoing around him, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a much larger fight. And as the sun set, casting long shadows across the parking lot, he knew that every decision from this moment forward could define their path. Would the community's support shine brightly enough to light their darkest moments, or would he face a new reality of struggle? The next few hours would hold the answer, and with it, everything they had fought for. The buzz of laughter melted into the crisp afternoon air as Jake set to work, every splash of water and scrub of the sponge filling him with a renewed sense of purpose. Friends flitted around him, their animated conversations weaving a fabric of support that wrapped around his spirit like a warm blanket on a cold night. But despite the brightness surrounding him, a tight knot of anxiety twisted in his stomach. Daddy, can I help? Lily's voice rang out, a tiny anchor pulling him back to the moment. He turned to see her grinning widely, her messy hair tousled and her cheeks flushed with excitement. She clutched a tiny sponge almost too big for her hands. Of course, sweetheart. He smiled, the joy in her voice mixing with the tension in his heart. As she stepped closer, he knelt to meet her eye level. "But you have to be careful, okay? We don't want the soap to slip, and it's okay, Daddy. I can do it." She pouted playfully, her spirit delightful and pure. The innocence of her determination surrounded them, temporarily chasing away the shadows of doubt. After a few moments playing with the sponge, though, Lily faltered, her eyes shifting toward the growing crowd. "What if they don't like my car wash, Daddy?" she asked, a hint of worry creeping into her voice. Jake's heart wrenched. He wanted to shield her from worry, just as he wished he could shield himself. "It doesn't matter what they think, sweetheart. What matters is that we're here together, trying to do something good. And that is what counts." Lily nodded, her gaze steadying as she turned back to the car. "Okay, then let us make their cars shine," she exclaimed, suddenly fueled by conviction that he chuckled, wiping his own concern away as he handed her the sponge. She took to the vehicle with a determination that reminded him of her spirit even amid her battles with illness. Together, they splashed water and shared in the laughter of those around them, the burdens on their shoulders momentarily lifted. As the hours passed, more names appeared on the donation list. Faces he had known his whole life stood in line, eager to participate, each of them carrying pieces of his family's struggle within their hearts. He felt a swell of gratitude for every car scrubbed and every hand offered. It was more than he had ever hoped for. Words of encouragement filled the air, and the atmosphere bubbled over with connection, but as Jake leaned back and surveyed the scene, a gnawing concern crept back in. Would this day mean anything when the bills rolled back in a week, and the looming medical costs continued to rise? Then he felt a gentle squeeze on his arm. He turned to see Emily standing beside him, her smile more radiant than the sun itself. "Look at this, Jake. The community showed up for you and Lily, just like I said." "Yeah, but will it be enough?" He stepped aside briefly, stealing a glance at Lily chatting excitedly with one of their neighbors by the next car. The juxtaposition of joy and uncertainty danced in his mind, giving rise to a harrowing flicker of doubt. "They're here because they believe in you, in Lily." Emily's voice was steady, grounding him. "This isn't just about the money, it's about support, love, and knowing you're not alone in this fight." Jake caught her eye, their bond strengthening like steel. "But what happens when the day ends and reality hits? When those reminders come crashing down?" "Then you keep fighting," she answered fiercely. "You keep letting people in. You keep being brave, like you are now." His heart stirred. Perhaps it was true, the power of community wasn't just in the financial relief but in sharing burdens and lifting spirits. Just then, a misstep sent a bucket of soapy water staggering onto the ground, sending Lily into fits of laughter. Jake found himself laughing too, this time not from a place of concern but from sheer joy. As the sun dipped low, painting the sky hues of orange and purple, he felt a shift within him. Maybe hope didn't reside solely in fighting for the future, but also in recognizing the support they already had. "Everyone, gather around!" Jake shouted, and the chatter slowed as heads turned toward him. "Thank you all for being here today for Lily and me. Your support means more than words can say. Let us keep fighting together." Cheers erupted around him, voices bouncing against the walls of the parking lot. Everything felt charged with possibilities, yet as the sunset loomed, Jake couldn't shake the apprehension lingering like a cloud. As evening wrapped them in a blanket of stars, he realized the challenge ahead was more than just financial. It was a journey of resilience, love, and community. What would tomorrow bring, and how far would their collective fight stretch? In that moment of celebration, he wasn't just fighting for Lily's health. He was also fighting for the very essence of hope. But as he watched the horizon darkening, curiosity tugged at him. What storms might come next? And would they be ready to weather them together? The evening air took on a chill as the sun dipped below the horizon, leaving strands of twilight weaving through the gathered crowd. Jake glanced at Emily and felt a warmth spread through him, even amid the uncertainty. The laughter still echoed in his ears like a song of resilience, but the shadows danced close, threatening to cloud the hopeful glow they had created. As the last car rolled out of the makeshift wash area, Jake watched Lily run toward him, her eyes sparkling with triumph. She tugged at his sleeve, a small bundle of energy. "Daddy! Did you see me? I made that car so shiny." Her enthusiasm wrapped around his heart, melting some of the tension gnawing at him. "You did amazing, sweetheart. I'm so proud of you. Can we do it again tomorrow?" Her innocent question caught him off guard. Another day filled with hope and laughter felt like a dream. Could they really go back to that sunny feeling again so soon? He hesitated just a moment, caught between the joyful moment present and the looming shadow of reality. "We'll have to see, Lily. But let us make today special, okay?" Lily grinned widely, ignorance of the weight of his worries shining brightly on her face. Jake looked around. The crowd was still mingling, some lingering by the donation table, exchanging stories and smiles. It felt good, like a balm on an aching heart, yet he felt a stirring deep in his gut, a voice whispering that the struggle was far from over. As the last of the crowd began to disperse, Emily stepped beside him again, her presence reassuring. "You did good, Jake. Very good. I worry. What if tomorrow we wake up and feel nothing but the weight of it all?" The words felt heavy as he expressed the fear he had tried to bury. "You take it one day at a time," she replied softly, her hand brushing against his. "Today, you had a victory. Tomorrow? Just find the small moments to celebrate." Though inspired by her words, a niggling doubt remained. He couldn't help but wonder how long the community's support would last. Would they still rally behind him, behind Lily, when the novelty wore off? At that moment, a familiar face caught his eye in the crowd. Dr. Thompson, the physician who had been overseeing Lily's treatment, stepped forward, his smile brightening the dimming evening. "Jake, may I have a word?" Jake turned, curiosity mixed with apprehension. He hadn't expected a visit from the hospital, especially now, when they were celebrating. "Is everything okay?" "Better than that," Dr. Thompson said, chuckling softly. "I just wanted to meet the brave little girl who inspired all this." His eyes crinkled in that warm, familiar way that always made Jake feel at ease. Lily peeked out from behind her dad, eyes wide with admiration. "Hi, Dr. Thompson." The doctor kneeled to her level and smiled. "Hi there, brave one. You really brightened up our hospital today with your spirit. I wanted to tell you how proud I am of you." Her cheeks flushed with shyness, but Jake could see Lily's eyes glimmer with joy. As Dr. Thompson spoke to her, explaining the impact of her courage, Jake felt something profound stirring within. This was bigger than financial relief, this was about finding strength in connection. But as he soaked in the moment, another thought crept in. Would the fight continue to be this joyful, or would challenges darken every part of their journey? As the doctor finished his encouraging words, Jake felt a strange mix of hope and apprehension. The battle was never really over, was it? Just then, his phone buzzed, cutting through the moment like a sudden turn in the wind. The message illuminated the screen like a beacon, but it brought with it a flicker of dread. Who could be reaching out now? He glanced at Emily before turning back to the message. Somehow, he knew it could shift everything once more. What awaited him on the other side of that phone call? Would it be more hope or yet another storm? Jake's heart raced as he focused on the screen of his phone, the message glowing with an urgency that seemed to pulse in the evening light. It was from a number he didn't recognize, but something instinctual told him that it wouldn't be trivial. After a deep breath, he swiped it open, feeling the pang of curiosity mixed with dread. The words on the screen took shape. "Hi Jake, this is Linda from the hospital. I hope you're doing well. I wanted to discuss something important regarding Lily's treatment. Can you call me back as soon as you can?" "Who is it?" Emily asked, her brow creasing with concern as she leaned closer to see the message. "It's Linda," Jake replied, feeling the weight of each syllable. "From the hospital." Emily's expression shifted. "Is everything okay with Lily?" I don't know, Jake admitted, his voice tight. He tucked his phone away as though the message itself physically burdened him. The gleam of celebration began to dull, replaced by shadows of worry. Let's just focus on tonight, Emily suggested, her hand squeezing his reassuringly. But Jake felt like he was being pulled away from the happiness around them. Lily's laughter echoed nearby as she played with some other kids, her carefree spirit like a shimmering light in the darkening evening. Yet even her joy felt distant now, a reminder of the fragile nature of happiness. What if this is about bad news? He muttered, his thoughts spiraling. What if her treatment isn't working as we hoped? Emily's sympathetic gaze softened. You can't let fear of what-ifs steal your joy, Jake. You have to trust that Lily's strong and that will handle whatever comes. He nodded, but the doubt remained, chaining him to the ground as he watched Lily darting around, full of life. A few moments later, Jake caught Dr. Thompson's gaze again as he waved farewell to some of the remaining guests. The doctor seemed to sense the heaviness engulfing Jake, and he approached with a tilt of his head. Jake, everything all right? Getting there, Jake stammered, looking away momentarily. He didn't want to share his rising anxieties. Not now, when they had somehow conjured a successful day. Dr. Thompson watched closely. If you need to talk, I'm here. You know that. Jake appreciated the offer, but he felt something deep within the doctor's gaze, an understanding that everything was not as straightforward as it seemed. Thanks, document. I just got a message from the hospital about Lily, and his voice trailed off. There's always uncertainty in these situations, Dr. Thompson said gently. But you need to remember the progress she has made. Jake met his eyes, searching for a spark of reassurance. I do, I really do. It's just hard sometimes, it feels like it's all on me. Then lean on the support around you, Dr. Thompson encouraged. You're not alone in this battle. Right. I just need to figure out this call, Jake murmured, barely believing his own words. It still felt daunting to let down his guard. As the last light of the day sank below the horizon, the reality of their struggle hung in the air, cold and constant. Jake turned his attention back to Lily, who had found a sparkler, and her laughter rang out, bright and pure. If only he could hold on to moments like these forever, but the phone's impending call loomed like a storm waiting to break. Could this day's magic endure, or would the reality of tomorrow sweep it away? He looked at Emily, who caught his eye and smiled, a fleeting moment of hope amid unpredictability. But deep down, Jake knew the winds of change were blowing, whispering promises and fears all at once. What was Linda holding back in that message? Would this next twist turn everything upside down? Jake's heart pounded in his chest as he stood there, grappling with the weight of uncertainty. He turned away from the celebration around him and focused on Lily, joyfully circling among her little friends, sparkler in hand. She was vibrant. It was the kind of sight that made everything else fade away. Yet, in that moment, he felt pulled taut between the noise of laughter and the haunting absence of answers. Jake. Emily's voice broke through his trance, gentle but firm, pulling him back. Want to step outside for a minute? I think a little fresh air might do you good. He nodded, even as a tight knot in his stomach twisted in protest. Outside, the night air was crisp, a stark contrast to the warmth of the party behind them. They settled onto a bench near the edge of the yard, the soft glow of lights twinkling in the distance like stars captured in a moment of magic. The sparkler's beautiful, Emily mused, her eyes tracing Lily's delight. But I can see it in your face, something's off. Jake took a breath, feeling the cool night seep into his lungs, trying to calm the tempest inside him. It's the message from Linda. I can't shake it off. I thought we were heading toward good news. But now what if it's something terrible? Emily turned toward him, determination flickering in her gaze. You can't predict the future, Jake. All we can do is focus on what we have right now. That's the problem, he replied, voice cracking slightly. What if the time we have is running out? Just then, a burst of laughter erupted from Lily and her friends, shimmering like the sparkler itself. But instead of easing his growing dread, it made it sharper. Jake chuckled softly, masking the turmoil inside. It felt almost wrong to harbor shadows when Lily was so unabashedly light-filled. "She needs you to be present, Jake," Emily said, putting an arm around him. "Worrying about what might come only steals moments like this. Focus on her, not on the what-ifs." "You make it sound okay," he murmured, though doubt still twisted within him. "But it's so hard." "I know," she replied, squeezing his shoulder. "But you're not alone. You never were." He looked at her, appreciating the warmth in her voice, the presence of someone who understood the battle he fought within himself. Just then, he thought of calling Linda, grappling with the fear of what might come. But, in that moment, he felt Emily's south warmth close to him, and for the first time, his heart lightened slightly. He imagined reaching out to Linda, hoping for clarity. A shout from Lily brought him back. She waved the sparkler, sending sparks glittering into the air, illuminating a small world of magic. "Look, Dad. Look at the sparks." Her voice rang clear, piercing through his worry that a soft smile crept across Jake's face. "I see, sweetheart. It's beautiful." The clarity in her eyes reminded him what was at stake. The joy and the fight for it. But before he could fully immerse himself in her bliss, his phone buzzed again, shattering the moment. The name on the screen lit up the familiar name that held both promise and fear. "Maybe this is it," he said under his breath, anxiety twisting again in the pit of his stomach. "Jake?" Emily asked softly, concern etching her face as she caught sight of the phone. Jake's fingers trembled as he stared at the screen. What would he say? Could he even talk to Linda without giving away the tumult within? "Jake, you have to answer it. Whatever it is, let it out," Emily urged, her eyes unwavering, grounding him like a lifeline. Taking a deep breath, he swiped the screen. Who was waiting for him on the other side of this call? As he pressed the phone to his ear, each heartbeat echoed in his ears like a countdown. "Hello, Linda." The world shifted in that moment, the twinkling lights fading as reality loomed closer. What awaited him on the other end? Would it confirm his worst fears, or would there be a glimmer of hope amidst the chaos? "Jake, it's Linda. I'm glad you picked up." Her voice was steady but edged with an undercurrent of urgency. "Is everything okay?" Jake's heart sank, ready for the worst. He clenched his jaw, steeling himself for bad news. "Actually, there is something we need to talk about. Can you come over to the hospital? Right now?" The words slipped out, filled with disbelief. He glanced at Emily, her face shifting from concern to alarm as if she could read the fear pooling in his eyes. "Yes, it's important. I wouldn't ask if it weren't." The hospital. Jake felt the air leave his lungs. The very place he dreaded most. "I can be there in 20 minutes. "Good. I'll be waiting." The moment he hung up, the chaos around him faded into a dull roar. Emily watched him, a mixture of fear and support in her eyes. "What did she say?" "I have to rush to the hospital. It's urgent." "What about Lily?" Jake looked back at his daughter. She danced with joy, ignorant of the storm brewing in her father's heart. "She can stay here for a bit longer. I'll be back." Emily stood, determination written across her face. "No, you shouldn't go alone. I'll come with you." He hesitated, his protective instincts flaring up. "But it's going to be stressful." "I don't want you to." "I'll be by your side," she insisted, gripping his arm. "You need someone you can lean on." Jake nodded, grateful for her presence. They both made their way back inside to grab Lily. Jake knelt down to her level, masking the fear swirling in him with a gentle smile. "Hey, princess, Daddy has to run an errand. I'll be right back, okay? Can I come?" she asked, wide-eyed. "Not this time, love." You have more sparklers to enjoy. I promise I won't be long. Lily scrunched her nose but nodded reluctantly, her tight little fist still clutching the sparkler. Be good for Emily, all right? Okay, Daddy. She replied, her voice brightening even amid the tension. Jake and Emily stepped outside, the night air rushing at them like a daring friend. As they drove through the quiet streets, the headlights cutting through the darkness felt surreal. The world seemed unchanged, ignorant of the turmoil happening inside Jake's heart. He drummed his fingers on the steering wheel, his thoughts spiraling with every tick of the clock. What could Linda want? Did it have to do with Lily? Or was it about him? Jake, Emily's voice cut through. What is going on in that mind of yours? I can see the wheels turning. He shot her a glance, wanting to share but feeling the weight of uncertainty. I just don't know what to expect. It could be anything or nothing. Or something good. Remember, we have to hold on to hope. They arrived at the hospital, its stark lights flashing ominously in the night. The sight caused a knot to tighten in Jake's chest. He took a deep breath, readying himself for whatever storm awaited him. As they entered, the familiar smell of antiseptic washed over him, a harsh reminder of countless doctor visits, empty waiting rooms, and dread. He looked around for Linda, finally spotting her at a desk. Her face lifted in a mixture of relief and concern when she saw him. Jake, she called, waving him forward. Where's Lily? Is she okay? Let us talk. Jake's heart raced, each step feeling heavy. Behind him, Emily hovered close, providing the comfort he desperately needed. This was the moment he'd been thrust into the center of, and the chaotic thoughts swirled around him like a storm. Linda motioned them to follow her down a corridor where the fluorescent lights flickered. What news would she bring? Jake held on to the hope that somehow this could twist into something that would hold back the dark, but as they approached her office, a chill ran down his spine. Would he be able to face the truth waiting on the other side? Wait, he turned back to Emily, his voice barely a whisper, what if it's bad? Emily cupped his face, her eyes steady. No matter what, we'll face it together. You're not alone. Jake nodded, drawing courage from her unwavering support. They stepped into Linda's office. The weight of silence hung above them like a heavy cloud. What words awaited? To crack free. But as Jake settled into a chair across from Linda, anxiety coiled within him, ready to lash out at the first sign of hope or despair. What awaited him in this meeting, and how would it change everything? Thanks for coming so quickly, Linda began, her voice steady but edged with the tension of a tightly coiled spring. Jake's hands clenched into fists in his lap, his body tense. What is going on? He needed answers, but the way Linda stared out of the window seemed to suggest that the news wouldn't come easily. There is something we need to discuss regarding your daughter. The words hung in the air, heavy like lead. Jake's heart thundered in his chest. What about her? Is she sick? Please, just tell me. Linda turned back to face him, her eyes searching. No, it's not that. It's about the recent tests. Jake felt his breath catch. Tests? What tests? The genetic screening we discussed when she was born. Linda took a breath, steadying herself. We received the results today. There's been a match. A match? Jake echoed, confusion swirling in his mind. A match for what? Before Linda could answer, Emily stepped closer, her hand brushing Jake's arm, grounding him in the moment. There's a possibility, Linda continued, her voice low but crystal clear, that Lily could be part of a donor program. Something we've been building towards for months. It could save someone else's life. Jake felt as if he'd been punched in the gut, air rushing out of his lungs. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Why this urgency? Linda's gaze softened. We wanted to ensure everything was legitimate before involving you and Lily. Family connections matter in donor scenarios, and the potential recipient could benefit from a genetic match. Jake's mind raced. But she's just a child. How can you think about all of this? Because children can make a difference, Emily interjected with quiet strength. This could be a chance for Lily to give someone hope, a second chance. Jake turned to Emily, her voice steady but filled with concern. And what about Lily? What if she is scared? Linda nodded, her expression grave as she added, we would never move forward without your consent. The choice is ultimately yours. Do we even know who this person is? What they'll go through? Jake's thoughts fired off like bullets. His protective instincts surged. Lily is all I have, I can't risk her well-being, Linda interrupted, allowing the silence to settle like fog. This is an incredible opportunity. It's not a decision to take lightly, but it could mean saving a life. We would support you every step of the way. Lily. Sweet, innocent Lily. She laughed and danced, oblivious to the weight of this conversation. A rush of fierce love surged through him, battling against the fear. What do you think? He finally asked Emily, his voice low and trembling. What if this isn't just about her ability to help? What if it changes everything for us? Emily looked deep into Jake's eyes. Life is uncertain, Jake. But this could be more than you think. It might even bring us closer. Jake's chest tightened as he struggled to absorb everything swirling around him. But I don't want to lose her. The idea of putting her through any kind of procedure terrifies me. He could see the glint of tears in Emily's eyes, her heart breaking along with his own. It's not about losing her, it's about giving someone else a chance at life. Remember what we told Lily about sharing? About kindness? The air tasted salty from his rising emotions, regret washing over him for questioning what seemed so pure. Linda gave them a moment, her presence a reminder of the important decision before them. Take your time. There's no need for a hasty answer. The official match comes through this afternoon, and you'll have a few days to think it over. Jake turned to Emily again. Would they really be able to do this? Or would he always look back with regret over what could have been? I need time, I need to talk to Lily, she deserves to know, he said finally, voice barely above a whisper. As they left the office, Jake felt dizzy with the rush of emotions. Hope mingled with anxiety, and while uncertainty loomed, another part of him fluttered with the possibility of change. But as they stepped back into the hall, a nurse hurried past them, her face pale, a sense of urgency rushing behind her wild eyes. What was that about? Jake murmured to Emily. I don't know, but... Suddenly, the hospital felt like a whirlwind of chaos, the urgency of that nurse spiraling the atmosphere. When would someone else's emergency collide with his own, turning this fragile moment into something entirely different? And as uncertainty settled in, a question remained: what if they weren't the only ones whose lives would change tonight? Jake walked slowly through the dimly lit hospital hallway, his heart thudding in rhythm with the clicks of his shoes against the polished floor. Each step felt heavier than the last, burdened with the weight of decisions that could alter their lives forever. He glanced at Emily, who wore a mask of worry tinged with determination. The anxiety in her eyes mirrored his own, and yet there was something more, a flicker of hope that they might be doing something extraordinary for someone else. They reached a small waiting area, the faint hum of fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. Jake sank into a chair, running his hands through his hair. I don't understand any of this. 1 minute we're just living our lives, and now everything feels like it's spinning out of control. Emily sat beside him, her knee touching his as she spoke softly. We need to think of Lily. This is tough. But remember, she has such a good heart. If she understood, maybe this wouldn't feel so heavy. Jake sighed, the knot in his stomach tightening. What if she doesn't want to? What if she feels obligated? I can't put her through that. She deserves a childhood, not growing up too fast. He looked around at the other families scattered through the waiting area. Some looked anxious, others hopeful. Children were playing quietly in corners, blissfully unaware of the stark reality around them. In that moment, Jake felt an unexpected wave of admiration for those families. This was their life. They lived in limbo, waiting for news that could change everything. What about talking to her like we talked about? Emily encouraged, gently nudging him back from his spiraling thoughts. Let her make her own choices. She is smarter than we give her credit for. Jake nodded slowly. Okay, but how do we bring it up? Hey, sweetie, you might be able to help a stranger and maybe save their life. Sounds easy, right? Emily's eyes softened. It's about framing it, Jake. Focus on the good it could do. She loves helping people. Maybe you could remind her about the time she fed those kittens at the shelter. It made her feel great to help them. Just then, a man in a lab coat approached them, his expression somber but compassionate. Excuse me? He said, catching Jake's eye. I'm Dr. Reynolds. I've been assigned to coordinate with you about the potential donor situation. Jake's heart raced. Is this about Lily? The match? Yes, Dr. Reynolds replied, his demeanor calm as he gestured for them to stand. We need to evaluate the possibility further, but it's important for me to explain this to both of you. Please, let us step into a private room. Jake exchanged a worried glance with Emily, swallowing hard. What could this doctor possibly say that would make this moment feel any less daunting? But they followed him down the sterile corridor, their footsteps echoing in the silence. Once inside the room, Dr. Reynolds explained the procedure with precision, outlining what the potential donor would need, the risks, and the protocols they'd follow. Jake felt the walls of the room closing in as he listened, every detail turning into a new shard of worry. When the doctor paused, it felt as if the air were thick with unsaid thoughts. What if I say no? Jake finally managed, his voice shaking. Can I just choose not to go through with this? Of course, Dr. Reynolds assured him. That decision will always rest with you and your family. No one will pressure you, it's your child's well-being that is most important. Jake wanted to scream, to cry, but instead, he nodded numbly. The reality settled like concrete at the bottom of his heart. Just then, the door swung open, and Lily bounded in, her eyes bright and innocent, her laughter filling the room like sunshine breaking through clouds. Daddy! Mommy! Look what I found! She exclaimed, holding out a small, colorful piece of paper. It was a drawing of a heart surrounded by flowers and sunshine. Jake stared down at it, taken aback. She had no idea about the heaviness of their conversation, yet here she was still finding ways to fill the space with warmth. Lily, that's beautiful, Emily said, tears glimmering in her eyes. What is it? It's for someone who might be sad. I wanted them to feel happy again. Jake felt the walls around his heart crack just a little. You're carrying kindness in your heart, sweetheart. He knelt beside her, wrapping his arms around her small frame. And as Lily nestled against him, an unexpected surge of resolve washed over him. That little girl, full of love and life, was their answer. He could see how she could touch lives more than he'd ever anticipated. But just as Jake was about to voice his thoughts, a shriek echoed through the halls, a frantic cry for help. The doctor's face fell, and an urgent tension filled the air again. What was that? Jake asked, dread coiling in his stomach. Dr. Reynolds' voice was steady, but his eyes held storm clouds. It sounds like there's an emergency. We need to see if our resources are stretched thin. Jake stood, Lily's small hand still clutched in his. What if this changes everything for us? As they rushed to follow the doctor, uncertainty gnawed at Jake's soul. Was this the moment their lives would intertwine with someone else's need in a way they never could have imagined? The tension in the air was thick as Jake and Emily rushed through the hospital halls, Lily clinging to Jake's hand, blissfully unaware of the chaos unfolding around them. The weight of uncertainty loomed heavy. Would this distant scream lead them to the answer they desperately sought? As they turned the corner, they found a crowded waiting room transformed. Nurses hustled past, their faces a mix of urgency and determination. A deep sense of dread settled in. Jake's heart raced, pumping adrenaline through his veins. What should we do? Emily's question hung in the air, but Jake was too overwhelmed to respond. He scanned the crowd for familiarity, for comfort, but no face felt like home amid this storm. Suddenly, a sharp voice broke through the turmoil. You! Family of Lily! A petite nurse called out, waving frantically. We need you! Jake's heart skipped. Yes. What is happening? Your daughter is a genetic match for a children's organ transplant. The recipient needs immediate help. The nurse's eyes glimmered with urgency. We need your consent, but we're under pressure. It could mean saving a life today. Jake felt the word strike him like lightning. Wait, what? You mean Lily? Emily squeezed his hand, grounding him. This is what Linda mentioned, Jake. The nurse nodded, and Jake felt the world tilt. A possibility? Could Lily's kindness truly save another, and would it come at the cost of his greatest fear? What will this mean for her? There are risks, but she would be monitored closely. The recipient is in critical condition. Time is of the essence here. The nurse's tone softened, enveloped in compassion. Can we talk to Lily? Emily asked, her voice firm but gentle. Of course. We need everyone to understand what this means. As the nurse prepared to gather Lily, Jake felt the moment's weight pressing into him. Could he ask this of his little girl? She's only 6, he thought, wrestling with the magnitude of the decision. Do I have the right to make such a choice for her? Lily bounded into the room, her youthful energy illuminating the darkness creeping into Jake's heart. Daddy! Mommy! What is going on? Her infectious grin brought a flicker of warmth, even amid the chaos. Jake knelt down, pulling her close, desperately searching for the right words. Sweetheart, we have something important to talk about. His voice wavered, the lump in his throat making it hard to speak. Emily interjected, Lily, sometimes we can help people who are very sick. There's a chance you could do that today. Lily tilted her head, her eyes filled with a mixture of innocence and curiosity. Help someone? Like the kittens? Yes, just like the kittens, Jake affirmed, tears threatening to fall. But this time, it could be much more serious. Lily's brows furrowed as she absorbed the weight of the conversation. But will it hurt? Is it scary? Jake stroked her hair, fighting back the fear clinging to him. It might feel a little different, but the doctors will take care of you. You're strong, sweetheart, just like we talked about. A moment of silence enveloped them as she processed. The colorful paper with her heart drawing crumpled in her grip. She looked from Jake to Emily and back to him. Is it gonna help someone be happy again? Yes, Lily, Emily said softly, it could make them feel better, just like you helped those kittens. Lily's expression shifted, shimmering hope creeping back into her determination. Then I want to do it. I want to help. Relief washed over Jake, but a wave of dread still gripped him. Was he doing the right thing? The nurse returned with a doctor, ready to guide them through the procedure. Jake stood frozen, but Emily's hand clasping his drew him into motion. They were in this together. Can you explain everything to us? Jake asked the doctor, searching for reassurance. The doctor spoke with clarity, detailing the risks and the immense support systems in place. We would ensure Lily's safety above all. Your consent would allow us to move forward. With every passing moment, Jake felt something within him shift. It wasn't just about Lily helping, it was about connection, the love they all shared, bound together by a network that extended beyond family. Okay, he breathed out, let us do it. The doctor's face brightened. You're making an incredible choice. Thank you. We'll take care of her. As they prepared for the next steps, Jake felt a weight lift. No longer were they isolated in despair. The decision brought them a new feeling, a purpose. Lily, still glowing with excitement and innocent determination, made Jake's heart swell. Can we see the person I'm helping? she asked, her voice a chorus of confidence. Jake exchanged a glance with Emily, an electric connection sparking between them. It was about healing for everyone involved. After the procedure, Jake said gently, "We can see them together." As the nurse led them down another hallway, a newfound light filled Jake's heart. This moment wasn't just about saving one life, it was about nurturing the spirit of connection, the heart of community. Together, they stepped forward, diving deep into the unknown with their love as a beacon guiding them through the darkness. Jake threaded his fingers with Emily's, grateful, determined, and entirely together. As they moved, the echoes of laughter filled the halls, intertwining with hope, a powerful reminder that even amid chaos, a heart full of courage can create ripples of change. And as they embraced this next chapter, a transformation was taking place. Not just for Lily, but for them all. Now, dear friends, this is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to our channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the love flowing. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending, we are eager to hear your thoughts. And finally, don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. True fans understand the importance of uplifting those around them. Thank you for being part of this journey,